Okay, now I want to talk about the Expert Architects program and walk you through all of the steps for the program. The video you'll see is pretty comprehensive. It lays out for the students exactly what to do, so it's likely that that will really help you know exactly what to do as well. But I want to give you a preview of all of the important parts of the class. Let me start by giving you an overview of what this class is. So the students are going to have a chance to choose some different letters from what we call clients. So they're all fictitious letters from clients, and they're going to have a chance to read them over and then choose which one they want to do. So like for instance, there's a letter from a client from a fictitious bank asking for them to build a bank building and a skyscraper for their bank. There's another from a fictitious city asking for a city hall and like a skyscraper office tower behind it. Each of the letters from the fictitious clients ask for some kind of skyscraper and some kind of what we call an accompanying building. So whenever you hear me refer to an accompanying building, I'm talking about the other building besides the skyscraper that the kids build. When the students first come into class, you should set up kind of a mini downtown of a city. It should look like this here. You should have somewhere between 12 and 15 Lego base plates, and then like a little ocean that you could create. If we give you blue base plates, that works, or some blue paper, and then we usually put a little island as well. And that's the downtown area where the students will create their skyscrapers and accompanying buildings throughout the class. So each week you'll kind of take down that city and then put it back up the following week. So definitely talk with me about the plan for storage. Students can work alone in this class, or they can work with a partner. Groups of 3 don't work, so they should figure out a way to work either alone or with a partner. And each group should have 1 letter from a client, and they're going to build their skyscraper and accompanying building. We have lessons throughout the class that you'll see on things like the history of architecture, difference between classical architecture and modernist architecture. All of that's planned out in the videos. Now, the other key component of the class is they're going to create a large poster. The poster will have a picture of their skyscraper, and it will have 4 boxes. In the 4 boxes, we ask them to answer some questions that we ask. For instance, questions about transportation to their skyscraper, relation of the environment to their skyscraper, which is something we talk about in the class, as well as like what's inside their skyscraper. Basically, they're just going to write about their skyscraper. In each of the boxes, they should write at least 4 sentences. The picture of the skyscraper should be detailed and colorful. And again, we go through all these requirements with the kids in the video. Rather than having them do the whole poster and then do the whole skyscraper and then do the accompanying building, we kind of go back and forth to mix it up a little bit. So, for instance, in one class, we may ask them to finish the first 2 boxes of the poster and then move on to their skyscraper, and then the next class we may ask them to finish a 3rd box and then go on to their skyscraper like that. Once they've finished everything, their poster, their skyscraper, and their accompanying building, the last thing that they'll work on in the final class or 2, depending on how quickly they get through everything else, is the city itself. There's a lot in the video about how to do this, but essentially the kids are going to create some other things in the city, like roads made out of paper. They could build a bridge in the city. They could build a parking lot. They could build a park, those kind of projects. So the students who finish early will begin working on those as directed in the video. There are a couple of other activities that the kids do throughout the program. For instance, there's a little game they play called Architecture Match, where they're going to have a sheet of clues, actually it looks like this, as well as a sheet of pictures. The pictures will be placed around the room, and they'll go and get the pictures and then with their teammates try to match the pictures to the sheet as quickly as possible. All the directions and rules for the game are laid out really clearly in the video for the kids. but you might want to take a look at what matches what, so that when they put their hands up and say they're done, you can go around and check quickly to see if they really have them accurately placed. There's another little activity where after we've talked with the kids at some length about the difference between classical and modernist architecture, they do a sketch as a team of a modernist house and a classical house. And then we put those up to vote on. And so the kids will be voting for their top two choices of which one of the side-by-side pictures they think best shows the difference between classical and modernist architecture. So again, the video walks them through really carefully, lots of examples of classical and modernist architecture, so they really understand the basic differences between the two. And then it also walks them through how to do the drawings of the houses, and then finally how to vote on which ones they think are the best representation of those differences. Now, during the last half hour of the program, the parents are invited to come in and see the city and the posters and the skyscrapers and the accompanying buildings. Again, we walk through really carefully for the students how to prepare for that. When the parents come in, and this is also explained in the video, they're going to do a kind of round robin gallery walk where they'll each start at a different station in the room, and then they'll rotate clockwise. You'll be telling them when to rotate every about a minute and a half. So you'll see in the video how it explains to go through each of these. After all the parents have gone around the room to see the different stations of skyscrapers and posters, then the kids are going to bring their skyscraper back to the city, and you will have them gather and take a picture of this. All of this is diagrammed in the video as well, as you'll see. So the final picture will be taken with the parents and the kids. It will look kind of like this, and then that's a wrap for the class. The kids can take home their posters, and that's where you'd give out the prize box, and then that's the end of the class. One thing about the Lego skyscrapers, please wait to take the city apart. They worked so hard on those skyscrapers, you don't want them to see like those Lego skyscrapers being taken apart. So if you can kind of clean up everything else while the kids file out, leave the school, get in their cars and so forth, and then you take down the skyscraper Legos. That's kind of the best way to do it for all of our Lego-based programs. It just would be sad for them to work so hard and then 2 minutes after class they see the whole thing coming down. Okay, so when we meet with you to get ready for Expert Architects, we can go over any other questions that you have, and please do let us know if questions come up during the program. So good luck, and I'm sure you'll do great.